I don't know if you, as a head of state, went to the COP in Dubai.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Do you know that Guyana has a forest forever that is the size of England and Scotland combined? A forest that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon, a forest that we have kept alive, a forest that we have kept alive.
Does that give you the right? Does that give you the right to release all of this carbon?
Does that give you the right to lecture us on climate change? I am going to lecture you on climate change because we have kept this forest alive that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon that you enjoy, that the world enjoy, that you don't pay us for, that you don't value, that you don't see a value in, that the people of Guyana has kept alive. Guess what? We have the lowest deforestation rate in the world. And guess what? Even with our greatest exploration of the oil and gas resource we have now, we will still be net zero. Guyana will still be net zero. With all our exploration,
a couple of points.
Still be net zero.
Powerful words, Mr. President. But
I am not completed as yet. I am not finished as yet. I am just not finished as yet. Because this is the hypocrisy that exists in the world. The world in the last 50 years has lost 65% of all its biodiversity. We have kept our biodiversity. Are you valuing it? Are you ready to pay for it? When is the developed world going to pay for it? Or are you in the pockets? Are you in the pockets of those who have damaged the environment? Are you in the pockets, are you and your system in the pockets of those who destroyed the environment through the Industrial Revolution and now lecturing us? Are you in their pockets? Are you paid by them? Are you paid to keep their message alive? There is no hypocrisy in our position.
The Center for International Environmental Law has described the oil and gas production in Guyana as turning your country from, as you rightly put it, a carbon sink into a potential, quote, carbon bomb. Now, you may say you have every right to exploit that oil and gas.
That is ridiculous. We, even with exploring and production of all our resources, we are going to still be carbon neutral. We are still going to be carbon neutral.
Let me quote to you Greenpeace, who say quite simply, to avoid the worst impacts of climate change, and you know that your own country is one of the most vulnerable to climate change because most of your population lives below sea level.
And we have paid, guess what? Guess what? We have paid for the mitigation. We have paid for the adaptation. We are the ones who have to find revenue. No.
I want to continue. I haven't finished telling you what Greenpeace say.
Yes, but let me tell
Greenpeace say we need to keep the majority of the world's remaining fossil fuels in the ground.
Yeah, Greenpeace can say that.
You're not doing that.
Greenpeace and you can say that. But we need to get resources. And the developing world, we need to get resources to build the sea defenses. We need to get sea defenses to build a drainage and irrigation system. You just said that we're 6 feet below sea level. Who is going to pay for the infrastructure? Who is going to pay for the drainage and irrigation? Who is going to pay for the development and advancement of our country? Are you going to pay? It's not coming from anywhere. It's not coming from Greenpeace or anyone else. Look at the adaptation budget that is required for the developing world. Where is the money coming from?
Isn't there a cynicism here in Georgetown, best expressed by your vice president, who said recently, because there is this climate change imperative to decarbonize, our policy is to get as much oil out of the ground as quickly as possible. Now, he said, that's harsh for those who think that you should be environmentally sound, but that is the reality of it. Those were very honest words from your vice president.
And that is what we are, honest. We are practical.
So you're rushing to get this oil out before any deal is done, to quote Dubai COP, to transition away from oil and gas.
You can say we are rushing, but we are very practical. We have this natural resource, and we are going to aggressively pursue this natural resource because we have to develop our country. We are committed to the development of this region. We have to create the opportunity for our people because no one is bringing that for us. No one is bringing that for us. No one is paying our agenda. No one is paying our agenda.
A final thought about what this means inside your own country. Earlier on, I referred to the fact that 40% of the Guyanese population currently still lives in poverty. And according to USAID, from a recent report, Guyana's political instability, which we also referred to, raises concerns that the country is unprepared for its newfound wealth. The tremendous influx of money opens many avenues for corruption. How do you, as president, ensure that that doesn't happen?
So when we came into government, we said that there are a number of things that we must do. First of all, there must be an arm's length relationship with the oil revenue. So first, the Minister of Finance has to declare all the revenue that comes into the system. If he does not declare that, within 30 days, there's a 10-year mandatory jail term for the Minister of Finance. Secondly, any revenue that is spent from oil and gas must pass through the budgetary process. So it has to go through the Parliament. It has to be debated in the Parliament. It then comes into the system. It is then audited by the Auditor General at the end of what it was intended for. And then, of course, the investment decision is made by a committee that is arm's length away, an independent committee that is arm's.
Guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you have watched a very powerful message and speech from the president of Guyana called Ifra. So Ifra has come out and has really speech a very powerful message. So kindly guys, let's watch this video until the end, and then I'll come back with the more reaction.
All of our viewers who would be covered by this. Why should somebody who maybe had an ancestor 7 or 8 generations ago, long before they were a twinkle in their great-great-great-great-grandparents' eye, why should they have to pay now for what an ancient ancestor did? Or why should they apologize for what an ancestor did centuries ago? Why do they still carry that burden?
Wow. Did you hear that?
Oh, it's not a burden at all. You are one of the beneficiaries of that slave trade. So this is not a burden. You should be concerned, and you should pay, because you today are still benefiting from the greatest indignity to a human being, and that is the slave trade. And not only did you benefit during the slave trade and your country developed, but look at what it caused the developing world. During slavery, resources was used to build your country, build up your capacity. You were able to then become competitive. You were able to invest in mechanization, and developing countries like ours were left behind. So you should be very concerned, because you are a prime beneficiary of the exploits of slavery.
Yes. Many people have benefited from slavery. And that's the reason why your country is better than many others' countries. It's very easy for you to say, why is your country not doing okay? Why are you not moving forward? Of course, how can our country do okay when your country was benefiting? We were suffering. So it took us many years to recover, to be okay, to just breathe, to just drink some pure water. By the time you already owned many buildings, many stuff, many things, you were far ahead. Give us some time to catch up.
So put a figure on it, please, because it always comes down to the bottom line. How much should an individual taxpayer in a country like the UK be signing a cheque to a country like yours, Ghana?
Well, it's easy to calculate. We can use the time value of money. You can look at the period of slavery and the contribution not the contribution, the extraction of wealth from countries like ours, and how it was utilized to build your society, build your country, create wealth in your country, and then add the time value of money, and you will get the value.
Wow. That's like a punch in the face.
There's a lot of research paper on this. A lot of universities would have done paper on this. There's enough literature to tell us what that value is. But I want to say that it is not only the value, it is a loss of time. It is a loss of competitiveness. It is a loss of human dignity. It is a loss of our education system. It is the culture that we lost. It is all of this indignity that surrounded slavery that we must consider.
Unbelievable.
I just wonder, people will be wondering what, you explain that there are calculations, but are you able to say in what measure that would be? I mean, are we talking billions, millions? What would you expect the payout to be, and over what period of time?
These people sometimes think they are way too clever. Like, you are stupid, you don't understand.
Well, this year in Guyana, we commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Demerara Rebellion. And it took 200 years to get an apology from one of the families. I don't believe that you would want us to wait 200 years for reparative justice and for us to take this conversation forward. CARICOM would have set out a 10-point plan on what should constitute reparative justice and what should constitute reparation. And the calculation goes into billions for the region.
How far back, though, do we have to go on this? Because you make the point, we're talking exclusively here about Western imperialistic slavery, to summarize it. But almost every civilization on the planet owes its existence and its prosperity almost always to crimes in the past, be they aggressive wars, be they different forms of slavery involving different movements of population. You can go right back to the Greeks and the Romans. Why just target one particular era in history? Some would say that's the arguments of political convenience. It's a handy handle to hang your argument on.
I think you're doing a great injustice to compare slavery with any other of the historical facts that you're mentioning.
I was including other forms of slavery. No, but I was including other examples of slavery as well.
To the indignity that slavery brought to people, that is the first thing.
Now, that's a president for you. He speaks it like it is, he doesn't match his word, he's very calm, he's not screaming, but he's telling you the truth.
I'll give you an example. Coming on to your program a few moments ago, you were speaking about net zero and climate justice. We are speaking about, the world is speaking today about climate justice and compensation and how we address the issues of climate change. And this is the problem. We live in a very unjust society. You know, we condemn completely the war in Ukraine. But if you look at the mobilization of resources in the war in Ukraine, in 2 years, you have mobilized more support for Ukraine than we have mobilized for Haiti for 60 years. You have mobilized more support for Ukraine than we have mobilized for Palestine for 20 years. You have mobilized more support for Ukraine in just 1.5 years than we mobilized to address the issue of hunger in Africa for 3 years. And that is the type of unjust way we have been dealing with these crises. And we are not going to tolerate the injustice that occurred during slavery.
Very briefly, coming back to where we came in, one of the points you're going to be making today is about our royal family. And you feel that it's not just about the finances involved here in terms of reparations for slavery, it's about the gestures. And you think that the British royal family should make a big gesture, don't you? What do you mean? Hand over a palace to your country?
Well, no, we don't want the British to hand over a palace that we built. You know, if you go into many of the palaces in Britain, you will see the lovely green heartwood from Guyana. You will see the sweat, tears, and blood of the slaves who were exploited.
So what do you want?
And the revenue that was earned from their exploitation. So we're not asking for a palace. We're asking for justice and a fair form of justice to the ancestors and to the greatest injustice that has ever been done to human beings.
We look forward to
we're not asking for palaces. No. You can enjoy the palace, and when we visit you, we'll also enjoy.
Madam President, Excellencies, if it is, we all agree on ending and preventing wars. If it is, we all agree that the Security Council requires reform. If it is, we all agree that the international financial system is unfair and unjust to the developing world. And if it is, we all believe in climate, food, and energy security, then what is stopping us from acting? We will all be doomed in the court of conscience for knowing what is right while ignoring what is wrong. Madam President, of the myriad of challenges confronting our world, climate change threatens our very existence, adversely affecting development across all countries. rising sea levels and temperatures, severe natural disasters, and shifting and extreme weather patterns disrupt agriculture and food security, threaten water supply, and displace communities. These impacts are particularly devastating for small island developing states. Each year, we make the annual pilgrimage to COP, filled with hope for tangible outcomes. And each year, we are regaled and renewed unkept promises are the order of the day. This cycle of hope, followed by disappointment, cannot continue if the Sustainable Development Goals are to be met. We must break free from this pattern of empty pledges. We must unequivocally and immediately fulfill all pledges for the sake of our planet and the future of all its inhabitants. Let me tell you about my country, Guyana, a country that is 83,000 square miles, 86% of which is tropical forests. Guyana has the second highest percentage forest cover on Earth and one of the lowest deforestation rates. Our forest stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon and sequesters more than 153 million tons annually. According to WWF, Guyana is one of the world's most important countries for biodiversity density. It straddles two of the richest biodiversity zones, the Guyana Shield and the Amazon. As a country, we are dedicated to the preservation of this vital global asset. I especially salute the indigenous peoples of Guyana, the Amerindians, who are the foremost stewards of this great natural heritage. We recognize their leadership, and 15% of all revenues earned from carbon sales are directly transferred to our indigenous communities. Madam President, even with our newfound natural resource, oil and gas, it would require less than 20% of sequestered carbon to offset our emissions at maximum output. We have preserved our biodiversity and know its value. We believe it is only fair and just that this global asset be monetized in a fair carbon market. Today, I am pleased to announce the launch of a global biodiversity alliance. We will convene the first Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit in 2025, which will focus on creating a market for biodiversity credits, scaling biodiversity conservation debt swaps, accelerating biodiversity bonds, establishing a blueprint for biodiversity taxonomies, and promoting nature-positive action. We do not make this announcement by mere words. Guyana is also committed to doubling its protected areas by December 2025 and achieving the global biodiversity target of 30% by 2030. These are real solutions that Guyana is putting forward to address the global problem of biodiversity loss. We do not lecture, we lead by example without arrogance. Madam President, according to the UN Food Security and Nutrition Report, in 2023, an estimated 28.9% of the global population, 2.3 billion people, were moderately or severely food insecure. The primary causes were conflict and insecurity, extreme weather events, including those related to El Nino and climate change and economic shocks. To effectively address food insecurity, we must take more concerted action to address its root causes, reducing conflict, mitigating climate change, and enhancing food production and trade in food commodities. By prioritizing peace and climate action, we can create environments where food systems, crops, and livelihoods are not threatened by conflict and weather extremes. In turn, enhancing food production and ensuring fair and efficient trade in food commodities can reduce food insecurity. So too can the full involvement of women and youth. In Guyana's National Agricultural Strategy and Policy, at least 35% of our agro-businesses will be owned by women and 60% by young people. While I've spoken of food insecurity, the global malnutrition rates are also alarming and must be addressed. Nutritious, safe, and sufficient food are crucial to a healthy population. Madam President, the United Nations must continue to be a beacon of hope amidst a turbulent global environment. The theme of this year's assembly, and I quote, "Leaving no one behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development, and human dignity for present and future generations," end of quote, resonates with the vision set out in the United Nations Charter. This vision demands decisive action and enlightened multilateralism. Today, we find ourselves in a world where the quest for peace is met with a defiant echo of conflict, where the promise of sustainable development is eclipsed by the dangerous specter of climate change and food insecurity, and where the dignity of millions of people is trampled upon with impunity. In Ukraine, the sovereignty and territorial integrity of a nation are being violated. Yet, decisive action by the United Nations Security Council remains fettered by the veto. Justice demands that we defend the territorial integrity of all states, large, small, powerful, and weak. Equally concerning is the conflict in Sudan, which rages on with devastating consequences for the people of that country, including famine and mass displacement. This conflict will continue to undermine efforts to achieve lasting peace and sustainable development. This assembly must also condemn the continued oppression and persecution by the Taliban of women and girls in Afghanistan, who face not just lack of access to education and restrictions on their movements, but now even their voices cannot be heard in public. Closer to my home, CARICOM has been actively supporting a Haitian-led process for the restoration of democracy, peace, and stability in Haiti. We welcome the deployment of the UN-authorized multinational security support mission led by Kenya as a crucial step towards stabilizing the security situation. We call on the international community to urgently scale up financing for the MSS and secure its renewed authorization so that the mission can succeed. We must also address the dire humanitarian situation where almost half of Haiti's population suffer from acute hunger, mass displacement, and women and girls are enduring brutal violence, including sexual violence. Guyana is leading CARICOM's effort in mobilizing humanitarian effort and support for Haiti. Excellencies, I'll be reaching out to you for your support. We must stay the course with our Haitian brothers and sisters in their quest for durable peace and sustainable development. The people of Haiti deserve nothing less. Madam President, peace, stability, and safety are no more imperiled than in Gaza. Guyana reiterates its strong condemnation of the October 7 attacks by Hamas on Israel. However, the collective punishment of an entire population, including the indiscriminate slaughter of civilians, most of whom are women and children, has long gone beyond the realm of self-defense. As the world watches on helplessly, Israel continues to flout its international obligations, including the orders of the ICJ and successive Security Council resolutions. Instead, the right of self-defense is being used as a weapon of mass extermination, stoking legitimate fears of genocide. No state, large or small, should feel comfortable and safe when such atrocities are allowed to continue with impunity. The war in Gaza must end now. We reiterate our demand for an immediate ceasefire and the release of all hostages and Palestinians illegally detained. Madam President, for more than 75 years, the Palestinian people have been denied the right of self-determination. We must advance the two-state solution, as this remains the only viable option for a future where Palestinians and Israelis live in peace and security. Turning to our brothers and sisters in Cuba, their right to development continues to be stymied by the economic embargo. Guyana renews its call for revocation of the embargo and the removal of Cuba from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. Madam President, the United Nations has a special responsibility for the security of small states. Small states look to multilateralism and the rule of international law to protect them from foreign aggression. Guyana is a small state that has had to contend with aggression from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for all 58 years of our nationhood. International law and its strict application have been our armor and our shield in our determination to protect ourselves from this aggression. We remind this August Assembly that the border between Guyana and Venezuela was fully, finally, and perfectly settled in an 1899 award by an international tribunal. Venezuela was fully represented in that tribunal, whose award it proclaimed in its own Congress and welcomed for more than 6 decades. Before reopening the issue on the eve of Guyana's independence, claiming 2/3 of our territory. This controversy, initiated by Venezuela, was submitted by Guyana to the International Court of Justice in accordance with the decision of the United Nations Secretary General and consistent with our position to settle this matter by legal and peaceful means. In 2023, in light of intensified acts of aggression by Venezuela, the ICJ issued provisional measures stating that, and I quote, pending a final decision in the case, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela shall refrain from taking any action which would modify the situation that currently prevails in the territory in dispute, whereby the Cooperative Republic of Guyana administers and exercises control over the area, end of quote. After years of refusing to participate in the proceedings of the ICJ and stating that it does not recognize the jurisdiction of the court, the Venezuelan government has now submitted a counter memorial to Guyana's submission. We welcome Venezuela's decision to participate in the court's proceedings and express the hope that Venezuela will accept the decision of the court, as Guyana has long pledged to do. I reaffirm Guyana's unwavering commitment to a peaceful resolution of this long-standing controversy in full conformity with international law and the principles set forth in the United Nations Charter. Madam President, peace, development, and human rights are pillars of the United Nations. We all aspire for a form of multilateralism that is equitable, inclusive, and ensures that no one is left behind. Women's participation in leadership in private and public sectors are integral to this. There is a growing movement in the developing world calling for the democratization of global political and economic relations. The disproportionate concentration of power favors a few powerful nations, whilst marginalizing the voices and concern of the broader international community. Developing countries are justly demanding more inclusive and representative decision-making processes in institutions and organs such as the UN Security Council, the World Bank, and the IMF. The World Trade Organization must also be reformed to ensure fairer trade for developing countries. These reforms must go beyond fair representation and ensure that the policies and practices of these institutions align with the developmental needs and aspirations of all countries. In the emerging global order, we must ensure the United Nations remains at the forefront of global governance. If multilateralism is to trump unilateralism, the UN's role as the world's foremost multilateral organization is pivotal. With the necessary resources and resolve, the UN can ensure a future of peace, sustainable development, and human dignity. The future we seek, a future where no one is left behind, demands courageous action. The UN must fulfill its role as a custodian of greater global peace, the foremost promoter of sustainable development, and an unflinching protector of human rights, human dignity, and international law. And since the UN is all of us, this body of nations, this is a collective responsibility for us all. Let us not be found wanting. Let us act together for the advancement of peace, for the achievement of sustainable development, and the preservation of human dignity, now and for generations to come. I thank you.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channels once more. Kindly, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channels, kindly make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. So hope you have watched a very, very powerful message and speech from our president of Guyana called the IFRA. The president has come out and has really defending the people of Guyana and just highlighted what the development has been done in his country. And we know that these people, they don't want any development from this Caribbean country. For those who are watching this video for the first time, Guyana is from the Caribbean countries. It's from the highlands. So in Caribbean country, you have a lot of some countries like the notable country like Jamaica, like Haiti, like Guyana is there, and a lot of small islands. So Guyana is just from Caribbean, and those people are just African. When you know that I'm calling them African because these people were taken out as a slavery. They were taken from West Africa and they went there as a slaver. So this time round they have come out and they are really defending their own country, because you find that these people, if you cannot speak, they will just colonize you again, because these people, they like people who doesn't speak, but if you speak, you be the enemy to them. So Guyana's president has come out and has really defending what he called the unity and the policy of Guyana. When you go to Guyana, Guyana is just a small country, but it has very really developed and has a lot of minerals. A lot of such minerals are there, are benefiting the people of Guyana. The president started a movement called Guyana movement. That movement really help the people from the bottom up, the people from downside being helped to be pushed up. So this movement has even chased away what we call the angers. Now people are living in good way and they are enjoying the lives of Guyana. So he has come out and has really sending a warning to US to stop using we African as a puppet, because you know that these people, they just want to use us as a puppet and our leader are silent. So President Ifra is one of those leaders who are now coming out and speak after realizing that these people, they have used us for long and it's now the high time we come out and defending our people. A lot of notable leaders from now Caribbean are speaking. A lot of like the PM Motley Mia, and also the Caribbean, the Jamaica President PM and Holiness, and a lot of now African leaders are now speaking, like Ibrahim Traore, who is the youngest, and also a lot of activists are now coming out and has now started opening eyes and defending what we call the freedom of Africa, because we were given the fake freedom and our system is really not working well. They want us to use their own constitution, and this have made the Guyana to be harsh. And if you have watched a very that message, he was very harsh about the climate change, because these people, they just want to bring their own agenda, like the climate change. That climate change is the climate that is being used to steal our money to steal our resources from our own continent, and that money go and develop their own country. I can say that now the country of USA is developed by the people of Africa, because our own resources are now the resources that are developing the country on United States. Our resources is being running the economy, because these people, they don't have a money that can drive the economy. They are depending the money from we as African, we as the Caribbean, and that's why we have the movement that have been started called liberation. This movement has started in Burkina Faso, it's now in Niger, it's now in Mali, it's AEC. So that movement has started, and also in Liberia. So we must now come out and support that movement to eliminate this colonization from our own country. Let's build our own country. Let's develop our own country. It's now high time we don't depend from those countries, because those country has been cost us a lot. Our people, our brothers are going out died in those West country. We incur a lot of expenses when you want to bring those people in our country. So we have our own resources. We can even develop our own resources and have a manufacturing country in this area. We cannot come out and start making those West country that we are in safe place. So kindly guys, let's unite it, and that unity, what is the president of Guyana is talking about, is the unity to black people, not only the Guyana people, but the unity to black people, because we black people have been being used by those people for so long time, and it has reached a time and you wake up and say no, enough is enough. And that's only the slogan now we have, is enough is enough. Let's now come back and restore our dignity, being the country that have fully independent. We don't want to have a fake or short independent. We want to have the fully independent, the full control of our own resources. So kindly guys, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe, like, share and comment, and also let me see your reaction in comment section about the speech of President of Guyana. Bye for now.